Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave here with you again. And if this is your first time, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. This is a podcast about podcasting, of which there are many, I know. But what makes this special is that you're here and that you press play and that you found the show. And I want to know how you did all those things. So howtopodcast.ca is my website, and I'm asking for 5 opportunities this month to talk to 5 different people who listen to the show. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. We'll jump on Zoom together. I will make time for you, and I want to talk to 5 people this month and hear what you think about the show, any ideas for the show. If you need any help with your podcast, it's completely free. I'm not going to sell you anything. I just want to talk to the people who listen to the show. And that would really help me to do better episodes, the way you want them, what you need, what you're not getting from the show, all that great information, and where you are in the world. I'd love to hear where you're listening, how you listen to the show. Like, what are you doing right now as you press play? Like, I would love to know where you are and what you're doing. That would be really interesting to me. And I just want to make the best show possible for podcasters. And having a chance to talk to you is really going to help to kind of shape the show and make it better. So I would love to talk to you. Howtopodcast.ca, calendar links right there. You can always leave me a SpeakPipe message too. There's a SpeakPipe link, and you can leave a voice message for me. It comes to me in an email. We can have a voice communication conversation through email, through SpeakPipe. It's really fun. So any way you like to do it, I'd love to have time with you. Because I'm doing this for you. This is the whole reason why this show exists. It's not for Dave. It's for you. So thanks for hitting play. I wanted to talk today about the reputational risks. It's relational based, but the reputational risks that can prevent listeners from recommending your podcast. What do I mean by reputational risks? That's when your show is difficult to recommend to someone else. There could be a variety of reasons why it's difficult to recommend to someone. I want to jump into some of the reasons why your show is not recommendable and how you can fix it, how you can make it better so that more people will talk about you and your show and bring more people to you. I think word of mouth marketing is always probably one of the most effective ways, because people trust people over a bunch of marketing stuff or paying for clicks and all that other stuff. People trust people. And if somebody loves your show and shares it with somebody and tells them why they should listen, they're more likely to listen because people trust each other. So you want your people out there as listeners then telling others about your show. That's a great way for you to grow your podcast. It doesn't cost you any money. And your audience becomes your evangelists, the ones that go out and talk about you behind your back in a good way, and that's going to help you grow your show. So, but what happens that blocks that transaction from happening, and people don't talk about you to their friends and family and their community because there's something in the way that's blocking them from doing so. So let's get into the reputational risks that can prevent listeners from recommending your podcast. Thanks for hitting play. Let's jump in. When somebody considers recommending a podcast, they weigh not only the show's quality, but also how the recommendation will affect and reflect on them for recommending you in the first place. Several reputational risks can make even the most loyal listeners hesitate to share your podcast with others. So what are these? Well, we're going to jump through these together. The first one is poor audio quality. Now, one thing to dispel right off the bat is you don't have to have some big fancy studio, a $1,000 microphone, soundproofing, all of the things. Like, you don't have to have all of that stuff. You need to be heard. As people listen to your show, they need to hear your voice, and they don't need any competition to hear what you're saying. They don't need loud music as an intro and you quietly behind the music and you can't even pick up what you're saying. They don't want to have to fight with the volume knob, turning it up and down to mix you and your guest because you're louder than your guest or vice versa. No, you do not want to give your listeners a job as they listen to your show. You want your podcast to be listenable. You want it to be clear, and you want people to hear what you're saying without having to fight to do so. I tell you, if they have to fight to understand you, they're not going to come back. They're going to go to something else. There are so many podcasts out there to pick from. You have a slim margin of time, and if you do not meet the expectations of your listeners, they will just leave. So you don't have to be professional. You don't have to go out and spend a ton of money. But what you can do is make sure that people can understand what you're saying. So I'm going to try to do the opposite of what I do on my show, and I'm going to show you kind of what I'm hearing in podcasting, what I'm hearing as far as the host of the show, and what will make somebody go, what is going on here? So let me do this. I'm going to take a step away from where I normally record my podcast and show you the difference. And if you're doing this in your show and this is how your podcast sounds, I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to leave it as it is. And if this is how your show sounds, you're in trouble. So here's an example. So this is me. I'm about 5 feet from my microphone, and my microphone is really struggling to pick me up right now because I'm so far away. And when you do stuff like this, it's really hard for your audience to really pick out everything that you're saying. And people who put out episodes that sound like this are not going to have people coming back often. So if this is what you think good sounds like, there's something better. And it's simply how close you are to your microphone and how you do your audio editing. But this is not acceptable. It's not. And I think you need some help if you think this is good enough for your podcast. So please, if this is what your podcast sounds like, please reach out. I'd love to help you because this is not adequate enough for your show. People will leave if this is what your podcast sounds like. So please stop doing this. It's hurting you. It's time to reach out to somebody like me who can help you sound way better than this. Okay? Please. So sound matters. People need to be able to hear what you're saying. They don't need to fight with the volume, and I apologize if you had to turn your volume up to hear that. But that's what I'm hearing in podcasting right now, and people are happy with that quality. It's like it's good enough, and they put it out there into the world, and then they complain that they're not seeing growth. They're not seeing retention. People aren't sticking around. And poor audio quality will make your podcast unrecommendable. There you go. It's a big word. It will hurt you in the long end. Subpar audio is one of the most significant barriers for someone to recommend your show. Listeners may fear that suggesting a podcast with distracting background noise, inconsistent volume, muffled voices will make them seem unprofessional because they recommended this show to someone, and it'll make them feel like it's not, like quality doesn't matter because they're recommending a show that just sounds terrible. And studies show that audio quality directly influences perceptions of the host credibility. If your show sounds amateur, listeners may worry that recommending it could diminish their own credibility. So you are putting your name on the line when you recommend a show that sounded like that. Poor audio quality will make your show a show that nobody wants to tell anybody about. So if you're struggling with audio quality and you're like, Dave, I don't know what I'm doing, reach out to me. We can work together. We can do it over Zoom. I'll help you. I'll give you some tips. We'll talk about your mic placement. We'll talk about editing tools, whatever you need. And if you just need somebody to do all the stuff for you, I do that for other people right now, and I'd love to do that for you. Reach out, howtopodcast.ca. Poor audio quality is a reputational risk that your listener will not take, and they will not tell anybody else about your show. What else? Inconsistent or unfocused content. If your podcast is all over the map, you release every Monday for a month, and then you're gone. And then you're back here on a Tuesday, and then you're back to a Monday, and then a Saturday, and you're gone again. And the content was so good when you started. Like, you really covered some great topics, and you were engaging, and you could tell that you were passionate about what you were talking about. And now it's like, it's just not the same. Like, it doesn't feel like you even care about what you're talking about. It feels like you're doing it out of a sense of duty that you just have to do the podcast now, where you used to love it. Now it's become a chore. It comes through the microphone. If your podcast lacks a clear theme or frequently shifts topics, it becomes really difficult for listeners to identify who would actually benefit from this. They're struggling to figure out who in their circle of friends and community would get value from your show. So in that moment, they don't recommend you because they don't even know who of their friend group would even like this show. And this ambiguity makes people less likely to recommend your show, as they don't want to risk the recipient finding it irrelevant or confusing or having the same thoughts that they're having before they even recommend it. Hit or miss content quality can also be an embarrassment if a recommended episode is noticeably weaker than all of the others. When you phone it in, when you don't care and you don't give a crap and you just do it because you do it, it shows. And it makes your show unrecommendable. So please be consistent and focused in your content. Stay true to your audience. Stay true to why you're podcasting. Stay true to what will my audience get from this content, from this guest. Stop chasing squirrels. Focus on your show and make it the best show ever. Every single episode getting slightly better than the last one. Inconsistent and unfocused content will make your show unrecommendable. Another one that I don't understand this is podcasts that are not safe for work because of language or content. There are podcasters who do business shows. There are podcasters who podcast about podcasting. There are podcasters that don't need to go blue and say things that are rude, offensive, harmful. There's some hatred. There's some just bad stuff happening. And your podcast is not safe for work. You can't play this at work. You couldn't play this in the car with your boss beside you on your way to a meeting. You can't play this in front of the kids. You wouldn't play this in front of your mother. Now, I understand there's podcasts that's what they do. But when your podcast is a business podcast and you're talking about accounting, to be dropping F-bombs every 5 seconds or talking about some inappropriate video you saw on TikTok, how does that fit into the content? And maybe you need to self-edit a little bit more. Podcasts that with explicit language, controversial topics, adult themes, all of these things can deter recommendations, especially in professional or mixed company settings. Listeners may worry about offending friends, colleagues, or family if the content is not appropriate for all audiences. Now, am I saying be boring? No. But if you're going to talk about those topics, first thing you have to do, if you don't want to get kicked off of some of the players, is to rate and put a rating on your show for explicit. Again, it could be explicit as far as content, explicit as far as language, and just realize that when you put an explicit tag on your podcast as a whole or a specific episode, that in some countries your podcast will be removed, not just the episode, everything. It's not going to work in their country, so your podcast is done with even one episode. One word, one topic would remove you completely from that country. So if that doesn't bother you, then just make sure that you have a rating on all of your shows. I would say do it at the show level for your entire podcast, even if a specific episode isn't blue or explicit. It's probably safer to do it at the podcast level than at the episode level, just in case you miss something. There's not a lot of grace from the hosting sites. If you go through and read on the apps like Apple and Spotify and Audible and all those, if you go read their fine print about what's acceptable and what's not on their platform, they own the platform. And you're free speech, but it's their platform. And they own the content that they play on their platform. And all they need is one person to complain, and there's a whole world of trouble coming your way. So please, if you're going to have anything that's remotely blue, explicit, kind of on the edge, you're not sure. If you're not sure, then probably the best thing to do is mark it explicit. If you are random in your content where you do, I've heard of people who have like church-based, faith-based, Bible-based podcasts. They talk about God, they talk about the Bible and church and all that. And then they start bringing up something about porn. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how random is that? Don't, like, no. Stay in your lane. And if you want to do a podcast that's very adult and themed, then go for it. Have at it. You can do whatever you want. Just when you start blending things together and mixing up what you do, your audience doesn't know if they can recommend your podcast as a whole because they don't know what you're going to do next. You're a loose cannon, and people don't like to put loose cannons out into the world because they're afraid it's going to backfire on them. Because one day you're great, and then the next day you go off the charts and you go in a totally different direction. And that recommended podcast, when they recommended you to someone, you are now gone somewhere that makes them look bad because they recommended your show to someone else. So keep it in mind. Be careful about not safe for work because of language or because of content. Another thing that might make it hard to recommend your show is amateur looking or confusing cover art. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but there's a reason why covers look good. It's actually true that you can judge a book by its cover and you can judge a podcast by its image. So when you have a very amateur looking or confusing cover art for your show, it looks unprofessional. It looks unclear. And podcast artwork can signal low production values before a single word is even heard, before somebody presses play. Listeners may feel that recommending a show with poor branding could reflect poorly on their own taste or judgment. It's like, why did you recommend this show? It looks amateur. I don't like it at all. So don't cut it off right away by having bad imaging for your show. Remember, people will see you. For this many times, people will see you before they listen to you. Make sure it looks good. Another thing is loose episode structure. Episodes that meander along, go on many, many tangents. When they lack editing, I'm just going to go live. I'm just better live. Well, your audience would disagree with that. You're better edited. Everything's better edited. Stop that. It's better to edit it. It's better to clean it up a little bit and give people back time. When it feels so unprepared sometimes. And this unpreparedness is very frustrating to listeners and makes your show unrecommendable. If someone feels that they need to apologize or explain away the lack of structure, they're less likely to recommend your show at all. If I'm saying to my friend, hey, go listen to this podcast, normally it's really good, sometimes not so great, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Would you go press play? No. Maybe out of curiosity to see what a train wreck looks like. But for the most part, you're like, I don't think I'm going to touch that. So stop having the loose episode structure where people don't know what's happening next and you're all over the place. Pick a lane and do good at it. Like, become good at your show and stop being all over the place. And then the next one is when your podcast isn't distinct or memorable. When people struggle to even remember what your show is or what it's about or the name of your show, and they're like, it's a podcast I listen to, and it's a thing about a thing, and there's a guy and a girl, and they talk about the thing about something or other. I don't remember what it's called. It's okay. It's an okay podcast, but I found it. I listened to a little bit. Yeah, you might like it. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. I'll have to send you the link. In that moment, you've lost it all. They can't remember your show. They don't know who you are. They don't remember what the topic is. They didn't even like it that much. Do you see what I mean? It's not recommendable when people can't remember the name of your show. If your podcast doesn't stand out, whether it's the format, the delivery, or the perspective of the show, it's just hard for listeners to recall and recommend it in relevant situations. These shows aren't recommendable. Shows that blend into the crowd are rarely shared. So please, be memorable. Be distinctive. Go into, makes your show different than all the other shows. Lean into you, because you're the most unique part of your show. Another thing that makes your show unrecommendable is when your target audience is totally unclear and you have no idea who you're talking to. When your show is not obvious as to who the podcast is for, listeners hesitate to recommend it to anybody. They fear that it won't resonate with the recipient who they're recommending your show to, or could even cause awkwardness when it's like, why did you tell me to listen to that show? I don't even know who it's for. I didn't even feel like it was for me. Like, why did you send that to me? It's like getting somebody telling you to listen to a song and you're like, do you know I don't even listen to that type of music? Like, what are you doing? When your audience is unclear and you don't know who you're talking to, it makes your show unrecommendable. Please be clear and focused on who your audience is and make sure that you're showing up for them. It makes your show easier to recommend to others. And then lastly is just the personal reputational risk around bad podcasts who are unclear, sound terrible, content is all over the place. They're not memorable. What is that personal reputational risk? Listeners often see their recommendations as a reflection of their own standards and tastes. If they recommend a bad podcast, whether it's due to any of the reasons we've talked about, they may worry about being judged as having poor judgment, low standards, or questionable values. Common contributors to reputational risk include hit or miss content quality, amateur looking or confusing cover art, mediocre audio quality, loose episode structure, and anything else that the recommender might feel the need to justify, apologize for, or have a caveat. Well, what is the impact to the recommender? Recommending a podcast is a personal endorsement. Okay? It's just like a sports figure who puts on a pair of running shoes or a shirt, golf clubs, whatever. It's their name on the product saying, I use it, I like it, it's great. It's a personal endorsement. And endorsement deals carry a lot of weight. And if your show disappoints, listeners may feel embarrassed or worry that others will question their tastes, their discernment, and they'll lose their trust in them, and they won't be professional anymore. This reputational risk is a powerful deterrent, which is why focusing on consistent quality, clarity, audio, sound, everything is essential for word-of-mouth growth. So how do you minimize reputational risks? To minimize reputational risks, invest in good audio equipment and editing. Get some help if you don't know what you're doing. Maintain a clear, focused topic and episode structure for every episode. Use professional cover art and branding. Pick something. Make it look great. Make it look great against all of the other shows out there. You want your artwork to stand out. Don't blend into the background. Be bold. Make your stuff look great. Be mindful of your language and content warnings. And if you don't need to go blue, you don't need to be explicit, then don't. If it doesn't fit your content and it doesn't fit what you're talking about, don't try to become something you're not. Just being out there doesn't bring more people to you. It might actually end up having the reverse effect where people will stop listening and stop recommending you because you're a loose cannon that nobody knows what you're going to say next, and you embarrass them, you embarrass others, and you embarrass yourself because you can't keep yourself on topic. So you want to be all kind of clickbaity and go on these rants and do things that are just absurd. Stop it. Know your target audience and communicate it clearly. And if you keep all these things in mind, you make it easier for your listeners to confidently recommend your podcast, knowing it will reflect well on them as they recommend you to others. So you might be hurting yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself and your podcast, if your audio quality is terrible and you just think, well, it's good enough, it's not. Inconsistent and unfocused content is hurting your show. If your show is not safe for work, and there's no reason why it shouldn't, be careful of your language and your content. If your cover art is confusing and it just looks like somebody who has no ability did it, then maybe that's hurting you. Maybe people are like, I don't know if I want to tell people about this show. It looks terrible. If your episodes are all over the place, if you have no reason to be remembered, there's nothing memorable about you, your content, your show, there's nothing distinctive or special, you haven't leaned into who you are yet, if your target audience is completely unclear and you just don't know who this is for, these are all reasons why people will not take the personal reputational risk to recommend your show to anyone. My hope for you is that if you address these things, your show will be so recommendable. There are going to be people lined up to share your show with others. You have great quality. You have great content. You have so many things that you can bring to a podcast. Any of these things is just standing in your way. If you address these things, your show has no reason not to grow. So instead of just going to the bare minimum, instead of just doing what you do and maybe it's time to step it up. And if you have any questions about this, and you're like, I don't even know where to start. I want my show to grow, but I know it needs to get better. Then let's talk. Let's get together. We'll listen to your show together. We'll pick out a few episodes. I would love to review your show and give you feedback. I will be in a loving and kind and generous way. It won't be mean and harsh. Remember, this is not American Idol. This is The Voice, where we focus on coaching, not judgment. So if you need help with your show and you're nervous, you're like, oh, I've heard other people who do this and they're rude and angry and hurtful when they tear apart somebody's show. That's not what we do here. I would love to help you. I'd love to work with you and give you some great help to put you on the right path. So you're going to work through all of these things and come out on the other side with a great recommendable show. I want to recommend your show to others. So please reach out to me at howtopodcast.ca. Let's work through it. Let's talk about it. And let's make your show recommendable. Because you are an amazing person and you deserve a great audience who's going to fall in love with you, press play on every episode, buy everything you put in front of them, support you, give you support through finances, leave you voice messages, listen and follow and share and do all the things. You deserve that. So let's work together to get you there. howtopodcast.ca. Thanks for listening. Hey, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to the end of the podcast. You're here with me. I'm so grateful. I want to put something in front of you. For the person that's listened this far, you're my new best friend. So what I'm trying to do every month is I have a goal, and you can help me with this goal. Very simple. What I'm trying to do is have 5 conversations this month with listeners of the How to Podcast series. You don't have to have a podcast to respond. This can be the first time ever that we're going to have a conversation, but I'm looking to talk to 5 people. Now, you're still here, so you're one of the people that I would love to talk to next. So on my howtopodcast.ca website is a calendar, and I'd love to have you respond on howtopodcast.ca. Just click the calendar link, set up time in my calendar, and in the comments section for the meeting, just put something like listener. That's it. If you have a show, put it in the comments too so I can go listen. But if you don't, I just want to talk to 5 listeners every month from now to the end of the month. So if you're listening to me right now, you're the person I want to talk to. And through howtopodcast.ca, you and I can get together, chat about the show, chat about your journey as a podcaster. Where are you at? What do you need this show to become for you? What's missing? Your feedback. I just want to meet you. And as podcasters, I would encourage you to do something similar to this in your podcast so that you can meet and interact with your audience. So, howtopodcast.ca, I'm looking to talk to 5 people every month, and I would love for you to be one of them. Reach out. It's free. I'm not selling you anything. I just want to talk to you at howtopodcast.ca. Let's get in the calendar and chat. Thanks for listening.
What can you say about one of the nicest guys in Dave Campbell? You have, from the very beginning, been a supportive coach and mentor to so many people. And this collection of new fledgling podcasters like myself who have not even figured out the title or the true content that we're going to be publicizing, right down to those who've been podcasting for years, all feel very strongly that this is such an important part of the process and in helping to support one another in this community. And I'm certain that that all comes from you. So 5 stars out of 5 for anyone who is wanting to help support others and learn from others so that we don't repeat the same mistakes, so that we get more out of the experience by podcasting, so that we're able to find our why and really be connected to one another. And it just goes to show that whether you're coming to the Tuesday or the Saturday groups that you've put up online, that all of these people are wanting to remain in this open forum to discuss podcasting in all of its glory. And that is an incredible salute to you, as you really set the tone for all of us. And I sincerely appreciate all that you have and continue doing for us. So again, meetup groups for you, 5 out of 5. I will be there until I possibly cannot. Thank you ever so much from the bottom of my heart.